Seminole Nation and the Robert Hook Show is brought to you by premier sponsor, First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas, Bugmobile of Arkansas, H&R Block of Mississippi County, Ed Harshman and Harshman Reynolds, and Roller Swift Funeral Home. Council member Tyler Dunnigan. Farm Bureau Insurance Agent Grant Barnett. And now, the Robert Hook Show. And good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the Robert Hook Show. We come to you on this Tuesday night, Thanksgiving week. Want to wish everyone out there a happy Thanksgiving on this Thanksgiving week. And coming off a big win last week against the Greenland Pirates, 50-20. But I tell you what, started off with two good scores. We go with 9:46 left in the first quarter. MJ Vance has a 2-yard touchdown run. Jacob O'Kane's extra point was good. Seminoles led 7-0. Greenland gets the ball, comes right back with 5:12 left in the first quarter. Number 5, Jeff Dennis, has a 2-yard touchdown run. Chase Snyder's extra point was good. And, folks, we were tied 7-7 at that point. Seminoles come right back, 3:33 left in the first quarter. Somebody, Bobby, that we hadn't seen a lot of. Steps up in a big role this week. Number 23, Jonathan Stovall, has a 10-yard touchdown run. Jacob O'Kane's extra point was good. And, Bobby, the Seminoles led 14-7 at that point, but just breaking right there on our scoring. Jonathan Stovall ran the ball hard. I mean, when you handed him the ball, he was wide open when he ran the football.
You know, we've seen Jonathan in some cleanup duty, or what we'd call cleanup duty, earlier in the season in games where OCL has enjoyed a large lead. And Jonathan seems to have a really good skill set. He runs really hard. He's got good speed. Didn't surprise me at all that Jonathan ran the football that well.
Coach, was there any he was in there, so I know you didn't have any second thoughts, but Jonathan Stovall getting a step up this week in the second round of the playoffs made a huge impact for your football team.
Well, he had a great week of practice like he always does, and I told him, I said, you're gonna carry the football on Friday. Just make sure you're ready. He said, just make sure I'm in there with the first line. I said, we'll do it. And Brandon makes his big run and comes up again, and I said, go, it's your time. And hand him the football, and he puts it in the end zone.
Bobby, I'm glad Coach Hooks brought up Brandon coming up a little, injured there. When Brandon ran the football, he lowered his shoulder and just laid the wood to one of the Greenland defenders. And I'm gonna tell you, he runs hard. And when Brandon's in the ball game, he's not ever shy about taking a lick.
And we've seen that from the Seminole running backs all year. They like to punish, and that's we've got, even with MJ at the quarterback position, when Rod's been in there, Jonathan, Brandon, we see these kids go out there and they run hard every week. You take enough hits from a running back, and then you start to second guess whether or not you want to stick your head in there. So it's not good to see Brandon come up, a little bit injured after that lick, but it was a forceful lick. He lowered his shoulder and bowled the guy over, and that'll make a defensive back or a linebacker start thinking about whether or not they want to come up and challenge those running backs. So it's not only the fact that it's a good football play, but it makes a statement as well.
I agree 100%, and he does just for the record, Brandon does make a return to the ball game later on in the ball game. So the only other score in the first quarter, we give the ball back to Greenland. Defense holds them. They have to punt the football. They throw the ball over the punter's head, runs back to the end zone, picks it up. We tackle him in the end zone for a safety. So at the end of the first quarter, Seminoles led 16-7. And, Coach, after one quarter, it looked like your defense was they were digging in. And you could tell that they, it took that first drive to kind of understand. Folks, they scored on the first drive on a fourth down play, and it was neck and neck right there at the goal line. Nevertheless, it took the Seminoles one drive, and your defense just steps up.
Yes, that's also where they got 2 other fourth down conversions prior to that. So the defense, I thought they did a good job in the first quarter. We gave up some big plays, but when it come time to step up and make a play, our guys made a play when needed.
No doubt about that. Folks, after one quarter, 16-7, Seminoles lead. We get right into the second quarter with 11-11 left. We have a 26-yard pick six by number 12, Anthony Harris Jr. Jacob O'Kane's extra point was good. Seminoles led 23-7. And Coach, I'm going to tell you, AJ read it perfectly. He had 2 other men. There was 3 men that were running after the quarterback. He was backing up, just trying to let the screen develop. But AJ just read his eyes, stepped back, and he threw it right to him. And then it was just pay dirt from there. And just a great job by Anthony Harris Jr., your sophomore.
Great job, being where he's supposed to be and doing what he was supposed to do once he was in that position. Made the catch. It's hard. People don't understand that it's a hard catch to make, and he really showed his length. I don't think a shorter guy makes that play.
Well, I agree.
His length provided him a chance to make that play, and he was. I tell you what, that was a phenomenal play by the sophomore. I
agree 100%. And once he got to moving them feet, you wasn't going to bring him down. He could see the end zone, and it was money to him. We move on to 8:51 left in the second quarter. Travion Moore has a 14-yard touchdown run. O'Kane's extra point was good. Seminoles led 30-7. 6:30 left in the second quarter. Number 4, Travion Moore has a 49-yard TD run. Extra point was good. Seminoles led 37-7 at that point. So you're back to back. Here you had MJ scored. You've had Jonathan Stovall scored. Now you've got 2 big scores from your senior. End around on one of them. Well, I call it the end around, jet sweep or whatever you want to call it. And then he has the 49-yard touchdown run. And I think I alluded to it on the live stream as he was running all the way to West Kaiser because Coach, he was gone. I mean, it was unbelievable how he shot to the line. And Bobby, seeing him back-to-back touchdowns. I mean, I know you call him Mr. Dependable for a reason, but he always finds a place when the Seminoles needed to step up and give him a big boost.
Trey is, and that's why I call him Mr. Dependable. Be it on the defensive side of the football or on the offensive side of the football, he's always where he's supposed to be. He does a good job. He's unselfish. He blocks when he doesn't have the football. And that's the other thing that really stood out to me Friday night was, watching these jet sweeps with Trey and the other receivers and the tunnel screens that we saw and the bubble screens that we saw. I saw the receivers blocking for each other. I saw Greg Hooks blocking quite a bit. Dan Newsom made some outstanding blocks on a couple of wide receiver screens that were very noticeable to me. So, that receiver core and that the football team as a whole really showed up Friday night playing unselfish. They didn't. You don't see a lot of pounding on the chest or pointing at themselves. You see guys that are out there trying to further their football team, and that's a good thing. And Trey again he's just dependable. He just does what he's supposed to do.
I agree. And Coach, that's the last score before we get to the half. You go to the half winning 37-7. You got to feel good about that. You got right to about a minute left before half without any rain, just a little cool, little wind. But the rain starts to fall without a minute before the half, so it lets you have a water-free first half.
Right.
Second half, totally different ball game. Look at the little stats from the first half, folks. Osceola had 13 rushes for 172 yards in the first half. They were 5 for 10 through the air for 69 yards. We had 241 yards total offense in the first half. Now, let me show you, when I talked about defense a while ago, how they got dug in. Greenland had 29 rushes for 34 yards. They were 4 for 13 through the air, 2 picks, 64 yards. They had 98 yards, Coach, of offense right there in the first half. And, again, that's a testament to how your defense dug in and played very well on defense. Looking at, some of the stats individually, Greg Hooks had two receptions for 43 yards. Travion Moore had 2 rushes for 63 yards. Also had Jacob O'Kane. And, Bobby, we talked about this, and I'll say it, 5 for 5 on extra points. And we talked about that a lot because when you start missing extra points, you start losing them points. and it gives teams opportunities down the road to catch up. But he was 5 for 5, and that's just I just thought it was an excellent job by Jacob O'Kane in the first half.
Yeah, we've talked about it all year that at some point those extra points would come back to haunt us. So you can see there's emphasis put on that this week, and Jacob did a really good job going out there and making all the extra points. Again, that could be the difference in a football game. We've seen that last year, and I'm sure we'll see it again. So, again, just a point of emphasis, and Jacob did a good job out there. We noticed a young man, a freshman out there kicking the football really, really well, and I'm sure that didn't help Jacob any. It didn't push him any at all. But Osceola has a bright future, I think.
I agree.
At kicker with that young man.
Slayton's his last name. He's a 9th grader. He's got a very good foot. And I'll tell you just real quick something that happened that really it really caught me off guard and everybody else too. He kicks off for you one time. Talking about the 9th grader, kind of shanks it, goes off the side of his foot, but it almost ended up perfect. But I think it caught our guys off guard because they run right back.
Yeah. I would just completely run right by the ball. He touches it and lets it go out of bounds.
Right. That could have been huge. I mean,
it's one of those things that you
wasn't
say no, yeah. Dang. So
that's exactly right.
It was one of those plays.
Coach, you lose the toss. So Greenland's gonna get the ball in the third quarter. 3:25 left in the third. Jeff Dennis has a 4-yard touchdown run. The extra point was good. It was 37-14 at that point, and I think Greenland thought, well, maybe we'll have a little momentum. Folks, at that time, it's starting to mist rain. I call it mist rain because it wasn't a hard pour-down rain. It's more of a mist. What made it look awful was the wind was blowing left to right, and it made it look like it was just I think I called it a typhoon on TV.
You did.
But, it made it look like it was a lot worse than what it was. But it was wet. It was raining. And I think at that point, Greenland thought, well, we can get back in this ball game. But I'm going to tell y'all something. We came right back with 2:29 left in the third quarter. MJ Vance had a 35-yard touchdown run. The extra point was good. Seminoles led 44-14. Now, let me stop it right there. Bobby, I said it on the air, and I'll say it again right now. That was probably one, if not the toughest runs I seen MJ Vance. And I can guarantee you at one point he probably had all 11 men touching him on defense, and he carried 3 or 4 across the goal line.
He ran with a purpose on that run, and we know MJ's a load. We know that once he gets to running downhill, he's not easy to bring down. But and these weren't just grasping arm tackles. He was hit hard several times during that run and kept his feet churning. Can't tell you how many times I heard Coach Gathan say, "Keep your feet moving, keep your feet moving," and that's what MJ does. He keeps his feet moving and he keeps going forward. Grown man run. I don't care how you look at it. It's got to be on a list somewhere for Play of the Year, and that's just testament to MJ's drive. He wants to win. He wants to do well for his team, and we've seen it all year. If in the face of adversity, MJ turns it up. He puts his team on his back, and he just was not going to be denied on that run.
Well, and we've talked about this, Bobby, over and over again, Coach. You just don't ever know where it's going to come from. If I was a defense coordinator playing against Osceola, I would just pull my hair out because you're going to try to set yourself up to stop one or two different things. But then when something else happens or you beat them a different way, you've got to sit over and go, how does that happen? I mean, I can't just keep saying that, but Osceola beats you so many different ways. And you sit there and you watch the toss sweep or the tunnels, the jet sweep to Trey. Well, you've seen Stephon or Dan run that, but you don't see Trey run it. And so, they're not prepared for him to come in motion. They're thinking, well, they're just going to fake that and they're going to throw it out to Greg. But then you give it to him and then you're figuring out, well, wait a minute now. We never see that before. Or you turn around and you think, well, you got 4 wide. You're thinking, okay, here we go. And then MJ takes off and he puts 11 on his back and says, come on, we're going to go to the end zone. I mean, so it's just every week you see a little bit of difference, but you see a team. Dan Newsom was huge in this ball game. He was huge. Made some big catches. Made some good plays on defense. But you're thinking to yourself, it's going to be Trey or Greg. And then number 1 shows up and they go, well, we've seen number 1, but he's not going to beat us. But then he's beating them. So, I mean, it's. I'm going to tell you, Coach, I'm just not bragging. I'm a Seminole through and through. But if I was a defense coordinator, I'd just quit because I just couldn't do it. I'm telling you, I couldn't do it. And I'm sorry. I just think about that. Go ahead.
I want to say one thing about MJ's run. Going back watching it on film, I knew that he broke about 5 or 6 tackles, but on that football play, all 11 of our opponents were on the ground. Their players were on the ground. They touched the ground at some point during that football play, and just an amazing run, and just all I could say was wild on the sideline. That's it.
Well, I think I said, folks, you'll be able to see this play over and over again on all the news stations because this one's going to come up. It's going to come up forever. I've already seen it being shared on Facebook, and folks are just like, "Wow!" They're trying to get ESPN to pick it up right now. They've done email it to ESPN. They've already. I mean, they're trying to get them to pick up on it. Whether they do it or not, you don't ever know. But so MJ's big run there puts us up 44-14. We get the ball back with 55.4 seconds left in the third quarter. We have a 27-yard punt return for a touchdown by number 1 Dan Newsom. The extra point was no good. It was blocked. That's the first one we missed all night long. That made it 50-14 at that point. So we go into the fourth quarter. There's number 1 score in the fourth quarter, and that comes from Greenland. Number 16, Zaylen Bryan has a 6-yard touchdown run. That was 7:55 left in the game. The 2-point conversion was no good, and we ended up being able to run the clock out. Final score, Osceola 50, Greenland 20. And, Coach, just a little bit about some of the stats here in the Greenland game. We had 26 rushes for 270 yards, 5 for 12 passing, 69 yards, total of 339 yards, 7 touchdowns on the night. Looking at some of the individual stats, MJ Vance had 10 rushes for 74 yards, 2 touchdowns. Travion Moore had 3 rushes, 72 yards, 2 touchdowns. Greg Hooks Jr. had 2 receptions for 43 yards. Greg had a pick. He played very well on the night. So, folks, just let you know, we talk always a little bit about the opponent, but we never really update some of the stuff that we have. Our season total so far after the Greenland game on the year. Now, this is every game that we've played this year after the Greenland game. Rushing, we've rushed for over 2,034 yards. We've had 1,769 yards passing for a total of 3,803 yards and 58 touchdowns. So, Coach, you talk about balance. I don't know how much more balance you can unless you can get them to 2,000 to 2,000, but that's as close as you get. And, I mean, you got to look at that. I mean, some of your individual stats on the season, MJ Vance is 74 for 136 for 1,372 yards passing with 2 touchdowns. He's got 118 carries on the ground for 769 yards rushing, 18 touchdowns. On your rushing, right now your leading rushers other than MJ is number 5, Brandon Johnson. He's got 39 carries, 396 yards, 6 touchdowns. Your receiving core, Greg Hooks Jr. has got 34 catches for 732, 9 touchdowns. Trey Moore, 25 receptions for 466 and 3 touchdowns. And Dan Newsom's got 18 catches, 206, and 1 touchdown. So just gives you a little testament of where you're at right now on your stats. Just a heck of a game, Coach. Kind of got a little wet there after halftime, but Seminoles seemed to, once they got in the groove, once they seen what kind of Greenland were going to do on defense, they kind of stepped in and did a really good job on defense, and then the offense just fluttered. So 50-20 is your final on the Greenland game. So what that means is, folks, we get to move on. We get to move on and play one more. This Friday night, we're going to play a game here at Seminole Stadium against the Melbourne Bearcats. And right after we come back from this break, we're going to break down the Melbourne Bearcats, tell you a little bit about them, and we'll also talk about our pick'ems from last week, and we'll talk about picking this week. So we'll let you know who all won in the state tournament and kind of where we're at and what it's going to look like for the future as long as Osceola keeps winning. So we'll let our sponsors get a word in here. Make sure you visit all of our sponsors. Without them, this does not happen. We appreciate you so much. I want to thank our game sponsors just real quick for last week. It's the Haven of Northeast Arkansas and Mr. Gary Tobar, who's running for State Representative District 55. So thank y'all so much for sponsoring us last week. We're going to have a slew of game sponsors this week, and we look forward to bringing that to y'all this Friday night. So we'll be back right after this break.
First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas is the official bank of the Seminole Nation and the Robert Hooks Show. Our premier sponsor, First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas, is Eastern Arkansas's largest independently owned bank. First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas specializes in all your banking needs, including personal banking, online banking, business banking, savings accounts, loans, CDs, and IRAs. Go down to the First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas, speak with President Greg Reese and teller supervisor and loan processor Taylor Lucius for all your banking needs. First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas is a proud sponsor of the Osceola Seminole Nation and the Robert Hooks Show. First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas, member FDIC. Bugmobile of Arkansas, located at 408 South Walnut in Osceola, specializes in pest control and termite control for both residential and commercial properties. Owners Oscar and Jade Gonzalez would be happy to come out and give you a free estimate, and you can also contact Bugmobile at 870-563-6811. Bugmobile is a proud sponsor of your Osceola Seminoles and the Seminole Nation. H&R Block of Mississippi County is a tax preparation and financial service located at 2981 West Kaiser in Osceola. They can be reached at 870-563-5710. H&R Block of Mississippi County is a proud sponsor of the Seminole Nation. Ed Harshman and Harshman Rentals, located at 202 West Johnson in Osceola, can meet all of your residential and storage rental needs. Harshman's has apartments and housing located throughout Osceola and Mississippi County, both furnished and unfurnished, available for rent. You can contact Harshman Rentals at 870-563-3694. Ed Harshman and Harshman Rentals are a proud sponsor of Osceola Seminole Athletics and the Seminole Nation. Roller Swift Funeral Home of Osceola is a proud sponsor of the Seminole Nation and Osceola Seminole Athletics. Located at 2173 US 61 South, Roller Swift Funeral Home specializes in funeral services and helping families with the costs associated with them. For more information, contact them at 870-563-6578 and speak with David Tucker. Roller Swift Funeral Home, with all our respect.
Councilmember Tyler Dunnigan is a proud sponsor of the Seminole Nation and the Robert Hooks Show. Tyler is working for a better Osceola with real commitment and real results. Councilmember Tyler Dunnigan for a better Osceola. Farm Bureau Insurance of Osceola and Agent Grant Barnett proudly sponsor the Seminole Nation and the Robert Hooks Show. Contact Grant for all of your auto, home, and life insurance needs. You can see Grant at 3125 West Kaiser in Osceola and contact him at 870-563-6561. Farm Bureau Insurance and Agent Grant Barnett are proud sponsors of the Seminole Nation.
And welcome back to the Robert Hooks Show. Again, we want to thank our sponsors for sponsoring the Robert Hooks Show and the Seminole Nation. Without them, this would not be possible, and we appreciate you so much. At this time, we're going to talk about who we're going to play in round 3 of the 3A tournament here at Osceola, be the Melbourne Bearcats. And just talking a little bit about the Melbourne Bearcats, they are coached by Kevin McCarn. He is 43-25 at Melbourne. He's got an overall record 55-34-0, which is 89 games. That's Melbourne's overall record. A little bit about the Melbourne Bearcats. Last season, they were 7-4 overall, 4-2 in conference. They lost to Mansfield 27-20 in the first round of the playoffs last season. So they did make the playoffs last year and lost in the first round. This season, they are 10-2 overall. Pretty good record for the Bearcats. 5-2 in conference. So their wins came against Midland 56-6, Cave City 35-8, Charleston 28-24. They beat Yellowville Summit 42-0, Marshall 54-22, Mountain View 28-0, Cedar Ridge 47-14, Rosebud 52-14, Center Point 44-7. And the Center Point was the first round of the 3A tournament, and in the second round they beat Glen Rose 42-28 to advance to the third round. Their only losses came in conference, 2 losses, one to Clinton 41-28 and Harding Academy 45-0. They are the number 3 seed out of the 3A2. So, Coach, I just real quick, some of the notable games. You should be in the conference with Melbourne for 2 years. Back in 2014, we had a conference win against Melbourne, 36-22, and we ended up seeing them again in the second round of the state tournament, and ended up beating them 14-7. 2015, which is the last year they were in the conference with us, we beat them 28-27. So we are 3-0 since 2014 against the Melbourne Bearcats. And Coach, we watched a little bit of film on them, but talk to us a little bit about the Melbourne Bearcats.
Well, you talk about getting the football to your playmakers. Just like you talked about me, Coach McCorn does a good job of getting the football to everybody. Right here, I'm gonna tell you some stats. Number one, Bray, he has 29 receptions for 436 yards. Number two, Jennings has 27 receptions for 537. Number three, Gray has 39 receptions for 587. And number four, Harrell has 32 receptions for 480 yards. And also the running back, Max Patton, number 6, has 20 receptions for 156 yards. So spreading the football around, they do it. You don't know who's going to touch the football. He does a good job of formation and motion and just getting his guys in a good spot where they can advance and make good plays. So we're going to have our hands full with Coach McCorn as far as play calling, but hopefully we will have our guys ready. But their starters at quarterback. I just talked to you about the receivers. That's their numbers: 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the running back is number 6, Noah McSpadden. At quarterback is Gabe Lawrence, 6'3", 170. A guy who spins the football well and does a good job of reading coverages and delivering the football. Up front, they start 2 sophomores now. They start a sophomore at center, number 75, Sawyer Hawkins. Number 53, Chris Ingles, starts at a guard. They start 79, Slayton Wheeler. He's a junior, 5'11", 250. At a guard, they start number 62 at a tackle. His height and weight not listed. And number 68, Cade McDaniel, 6 foot 180 at a tackle. When I tell you ball get off, they are the most disciplined offensive line that we've seen all year. They get off the ball really fast and low, good hand placement, and do a good job of blocking run and pass. So we're going to have our hands full with these guys, and defensively they run a 4-3. Run cover 4, a little bit of cover 2 read, but I think for the most part they cover 3, and they're going to be exactly where they're supposed to be and do what they're supposed to do. So up front again, that BGO ball get off is what's noticeable about these guys. In the secondary, they do a good job of passing off different routes and recognizing routes. So it should be interesting, and I think we're going to play a very good football team in Melbourne.
Bobby, just looking at Melbourne, their quarterbacks in a shotgun most of the time. They spread you out 4 wide a lot of the times. Looking at some film, they like to maybe throw a little bit more than they want to run, but they will run the ball. It's not something that I guess we hadn't seen, because a lot of what people do, they like to spread the ball out. We've seen that, so I just got to believe that it's not like we run up against a wing tee that you hadn't seen all year long, and you got to figure out how to figure out who's got the ball, and they're getting 3 or 4 yards every time. We've seen this before, so we just need to prepare the same way that I think we have all year long.
And Melbourne runs the same spread style offense. They RPO a little bit more, I think, than the other teams that we've seen, and they are a little more pass heavy. They do like to throw the football. Lawrence is a good quarterback that does spin the football really well, so they have the ability to get the ball down the field. And they utilize the wide receiver screens quite a bit that we like to use. We've seen this from just about everybody we've played all year. You're going to see the 4 wide sets, 3 wide sets, single set back or a split backfield. They're going to run a lot of the inside-outside zone that we've seen. But I do think they'll try to throw the football a little bit more. And of course, that'll be dictated a little bit by the weather. And, we're looking at the possibility of some rain and stuff like that. So, they may come in with a little different game plan. But, it is what we've seen all year. And we've done a good job of bend, don't break. We've done really well limiting The big plays, we haven't seen many big plays out of anybody this year, which is really, really good. You know, we just got to work on stopping the inside zone and taking away their bread and butter. But I do believe Melbourne will be a little more pass heavy than what we've seen from the other teams.
I agree. And Bobby, one other thing, you know, Melbourne's going to have all the confidence in the world. You know, they beat Center Point in the first round, and they go to Glen Rose. Glen Rose was the 1 seed out of their conference. They go to Glen Rose and beat them 42-28. So it shows you that the confidence is there. And I promise you, there ain't a kid or a coach or anybody from Melbourne that don't think they can come over here Friday night and beat Osceola.
And then something I've noticed out of Melbourne defensively too, they play a little flat across the front. They are playing a true 4-3. They flatten it out a little bit. Their linebackers are a little bit more shallow. But what we've seen all year is they like to give cushion on the outside. And that's to me that spells disaster for a team playing against the Seminoles. And if you're going to give us 8-9 yards on the outside cushion, we're going to eat you up on wide receiver screens, and that's because we have playmakers out on the edge. So you know you may see in Melbourne, I'm sure that they have looked at game film. They know what we're going to do. They know what's out there and what OCL is capable of. You know, you may see them back the defense up a little bit, back the linebackers up a little bit, and bring a little more press coverage in on the corners. But it's a pick your poison. You know, you got to decide what you're going to defend, and are you going to make Osceola beat you throwing the football, or are you going to make them beat you running the football? We do both very, very well. Exactly. I think when we were talking before the game Friday night, we were looking at the yearly averages, and we're averaging about 170 yards through the air per game and about 176 on the ground per game. You just can't get a lot more balance than that. So. It's a decision-making process for a team that's coming in here, same as it is for Coach Hooks, decide how to defend Melbourne and what to do. But again, it's about being disciplined and playing disciplined football, limiting the mistakes, limiting turnovers. You know, we won the turnover battle Friday night. If we can continue to do that, we're gonna continue to win football games.
I agree 100%. And so, folks, that is the scouting report on the Melbourne Bearcats. Just before we move on to the pick'ems here, just it's week 3. Or round 3 of the state tournament, and folks, it's something special. I don't know how any other way to say it, but Bobby, it's something special when you get to play on Thanksgiving. I know it's family time. I know it's time that you get off work and you're with your family, but the Seminoles are family, and they're not just family with each other. They're not just family with their coaches. It's a bond that the community has, and it's just one of the most special times of the year for me and everybody, because we get to go out. The kids are out of school, but they're not out of school when the football's going to continue Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and I've witnessed this firsthand. They'll have a practice on probably Thursday morning early, but then what they do, folks, is they'll have a breakfast, and as soon as it's over with, they'll have a breakfast. They all come in together as family, and they have a big breakfast. And then Coach Hooks turns them loose to their other family, to their real family, and they get to go home and have Thanksgiving with them. But it's just, how can I say it? It's just something special. I've been a part of this for a long time, but the last couple of years with Coach Hooks and the way he's approached Thanksgiving, it's just special. I tell my son, I said, I'd love to win a state championship. I want to win a state championship, but I can't wait till Thanksgiving, because it's just it's so special to see them kids come work their tail off all week long while everybody else is at home. School's out, folks. They're at home. But your Seminoles are out there working their tail off every day. They're going to have a special day on Thursday, and then Friday we're going to come in and it's going to be all about business. Coach, just talk a little bit about your preparation this week, how it's going to go for you this week, and then, how I call it special, but how it ends up on Thursday and then the game on Friday. Just talk a little bit about how you prep.
We'll go from 8 until 12. An hour in the weight room, an hour in the film room, 2 hours of practice. We'll do that Monday through Wednesday. And on Thursday, we'll come in an hour early. We'll go from 7 to 9. That's still going in the weight room. And we'll eat about 9:30, and we'll come together and disperse the kids about 10:15, and let them go with the families, and we'll bring them back in on Friday about 1 o'clock, and watch the games that are on, and 3 o'clock it's back to regular routine. You know, we eat our pregame meal, 3:15, and it's go time then.
I agree.
But,
I agree. Well,
It's always very special to play on Thanksgiving. Been fortunate enough in my short career to play in this game quite a bit, and it's always, if I'm not playing it, I feel I'm stressed out if I'm not playing in this game. So it's very humbling experience, and proud that we're back here again.
I agree. And folks, just on my soapbox just for a minute, hey, you know, do all that Black Friday shopping you want to on Thursday night and Friday morning. But understand that when it gets Friday at 7 o'clock, it's Seminole time. It's Seminole football time. Folks, we've got to have people in the stands. This is round 3. You're looking at round 3. It may take you to push them through Melbourne. And then we'll have round 4 if we can get through round 3 at Elzilla one more time. Folks, we get through that, we're going to play for a ring. We're going to play for it again. We got to have the fans in the stands. We've got to. I know it's easy to stay at home and watch this live feed. That's not what the live feed is designed to do. You know, we put the live feed out there for people who can't get to the game. We put it out there for people who are alumni, live way off. I mean, you should see the people who come in from us from Louisiana and Florida and Las Vegas and Texas. We design it to get the word out of Seminole football out to you. But folks, if you're in Osceola, we need you in the stands. We need you. Hey, if you want to watch the live feed, that's fine. Watch it from the stands. Open your phone up. We see it all night long. We can look down and see everybody watching the live feed, but they're cheering for the Seminoles at the same time. So please, hey, it may be raining. I know it may be raining. And I know it's going to be a little chilly. I think it's going to be 55, lows like 49, so it's not going to be just too cold. But, hey, come out and get in the stands. Hey, I'm making a plea for you. Rally the troops. We need people in the stands this Friday night. Melbourne's going to bring a crowd. I promise you, they're not even about 3 hours away from here. They're going to load up, and the whole town of Melbourne's going to be in them stands. Don't let them outdo us. Hey, it's time. It's time. They're playing to move on, and we need you in the stands this Friday night. I don't know how else to say it, folks. Hey, 7,000 people in this town. We need to fill the stands this Friday night and cheer these Seminoles on to victory. They have worked their tail off. They're going to work all week long while everybody else is sitting at home. That's kid-wise. I know the adults still have to work, but everybody else sitting at home, they're working their tail off because this Friday night they want to move on to round 4. So please, come out this Friday night, get in the stands, and let's push these Seminoles on into victory. We need it so bad that way we can play one more night. So I won't say it again. Well, I may say it right at the end, but I'm not going to harp on it too much. I'm sorry. I just think we've got to have people in the stands, and that's just the way I believe. So, Bobby, let's look at our pick'ems from last week. Bobby, let's look at the round 2 on the top of the bracket, on the left side of the bracket. We start right off with a big one.
Yeah,
Boonville and Hoxie. And Hoxie had to travel to Boonville. Hoxie's the 3 seed out of the 3A3. Boonville is the number 1 seed and had a bye. Bobby, you know, I watch a lot of things, and I watched the Hooten show earlier this week, and one of the people on the show said, you know, you got to watch out for these bye teams because it seems like one of the bye teams always loses when they come off a bye. And I thought, man, Osceola and Boonville ain't going to lose. But, folks, let me tell you what happened. The Hoxie Mustangs went to Boonville and shocked the world. They beat Boonville 34-28. I talked to you about the Powell brothers. They were awesome in that game. Dalen Powell comes up with an injury in the 3rd quarter. The quarterback that came in stepped in and did excellent, and just kind of rode Shaderick Powell, and they shocked the world. It got down to a play that was thrown in the end zone. Boonville was trying to score to at least tie it or go up, and intercepted in the end zone and just shocked the world.
Yep. And Coach Sears, you know, Hoxie, if you hadn't signed him up for an extension yet, you might ought to, because he goes in there and he beats your defending state champion to, you know, a game that nobody gave Hoxie an opportunity to win. Nobody thought a Hoxie could, especially not at Boonville, not going into their place and pulling off a victory like that. So hats off to the Powell brothers and the Hoxie Mustangs. You know, it takes 11 to do it, but you know, they did. They went in there and shocked everybody, and that's why we play the games. That's why you go out and actually get on the field and play.
That's it. And so, folks, let me tell you, you know, I talked to you about putting people in the stands. It should make you want to be in the stands more now. There's going to be a new state champion. Boonville's gone. So somebody knew is going to win a state championship this year. Boonville can't repeat. They lose to Hoxie 34-28. The game right underneath them was another one. Woo! It went down to the end. Pine Bluff Dollarway travels to Prescott. And then, folks, Prescott's the real deal. I'm telling you, they can flat out play. But let me tell you, Pine Bluff Dollarway is starting to get that swag back. Boy, back in the day, you did not want to play Pine Bluff Dollarway. You didn't want to do it. They come down there and whoop you and smile at you and leave on out of here. That's what they did. And, Bobby, they led most of the game. Prescott comes back, takes the lead, and holds off Pine Bluff Dollarway to win 23-22. What a game.
Right at the end of the football game. And, we've all said that all year that, we were going to look at Prescott somewhere. We're going to look at Boonville somewhere. And, you almost lose both of those teams in this round. But Prescott comes out and finds a way to win the football game. And, we talk about it all the time. That's what good teams do.
No doubt. Good teams find a way to do it. On the bottom side of that bracket, Newport, number 2 seed out of the 3A3, travels to Harding Academy. And we know they can flat out play. And we talked about this. I thought it would be a lot closer. But what ended up happening was Harding Academy just kind of takes over the ball game and beats Newport 58-24. And, this game was close at the beginning. But Newport just had some things going not their way. Harding Academy can score at will. And, Bobby, watching that game, though, going back watching that game, you think Harding Academy slung that ball all over the field. But most of what they did and how they beat Newport was with the run.
The damage was done on the run.
Yes.
It was done on the run. I mean, their passing game opened those lanes up for them. But Harding is a very well-balanced football team, much like Osceola is, and they do throw the ball around a little bit. They use the passing game to open up their running lanes. They were a dominant football team Friday night.
Yes, very much. And the other game that's on the bottom side of that bracket, the McGee Owls had to travel to Atkins. This is one game that me and Bobby were against each other on. Bobby wanted Atkins. I took McGee because I just had a gut feeling that they were going to be hard to stop. And I was 100% right on that night, folks. I just got to tell you, McGee travels to Atkins and beats him 52-29. And Bobby, I mean, I didn't want to be wrong, but I knew McGee was going to be hard to stop.
You were wrong in another game, but that's okay.
We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about it.
I expected Atkins to, Atkins has played good defense all year. They've had a really solid defense all year. I thought Atkins would come in and give McGee fits, but that offense that McGee runs is a pain. And
it's tough.
And they went down there and showed out. That's
the left side of the bracket. On the right side of the bracket, folks, you know what? Osceola's on the top. Played Greenland. You know how that ended up 50-20. The game that was underneath that, it was Glen Rose and Melbourne. Melbourne had to travel to Glen Rose. Glen Rose, again, is the number 1 seed out of the 4. Melbourne's the 3rd seed out of the 2. And, Bobby, Melbourne goes to Glen Rose and beats them 42-28. And both of us took Glen Rose on that one. I really thought that Glen Rose would do a lot better. But, hey, Melbourne wasn't going to be denied. They went and played a hard-fought football game and went to Glen Rose and came out with a victory. I was a little surprised. I didn't expect it to be a blowout, but I did expect Glen Rose to win the football game. I agree. So hats off to Melbourne on that ball game. On the bottom side of the bracket, you had Lamar. Lamar had to travel to Rising. It's a tough feat to go to Rising and beat Rising at any time, no matter who you are. Rising plays very tough at home. Rising beats Lamar 36-20 at home. That ball game was close in the beginning. It didn't start out, a 16-point game. So I thought Lamar would make a good showing, and they did. Yep, they did. Losing by 16, I think they'll. They won't. They don't want to take it, but it's better than getting blowed out at Rising. And the other game, Bobby, Clinton. Clinton is the 2 seed out of the 3A2. They travel to the 1 seed. I'm sorry. They traveled to the 2 seed out of the 3A5, and they got me on this one. I thought Clinton would play a whole lot better. Camden Harmony Groves beat Clinton 46-14, folks, and I was wrong. I'll be the first to admit it. I'm going to tell you, Camden Harmony Grove is a good, solid football team, and they'll give anybody they play fits. It wouldn't surprise me for us to see Rising or Camden. We're going to see one of them. Yeah. I firmly believe we're going to see one of those guys in the semifinals to get to Little Rock. So So that's the recap of last week in the 3A. What we're going to do now is pick who we think is going to win the quarterfinals. On the left side of the bracket, you got Hoxie, the Hoxie Mustangs, traveling to Prescott, Bobby. How you feel about this one?
You know, I'd like to be sentimental, and I do like Hoxie. I like the style of the football they play, and Prescott was down last week. They didn't do as well as we thought they would. They're going to be mad.
They are.
They're going to be mad, and you got to go to Prescott. So I just think Prescott's too much.
Well, I do too. And you know, if Hoxie pulls this off, I said they won.
Pick against them again.
They won 2 state championships, in my opinion, because they knocked off Boonville. If they don't do nothing else, they said, "Hey, we've knocked off the defending champions. So what's that make us?" You know what I mean?
That's right.
So, but going to Prescott, yeah, you're right. Prescott played a tough ball game. You know, these teams are a lot alike.
They are.
And what I mean by they want to run the ball down your throat if they can, and then throw when they have to. And you know, it's going to be, in my opinion, it's going to hinge over how good Dalen Powell is. He did go out in the third quarter with an injury. I'm hearing it could be just a dislocation, but that he may be back. But how effective is he going to be when he gets back in there, taking them licks? Because he wants to run the football.
Yeah, that's a big part of Dalen's game is running the football, and they run the RPO very, very well there with him and his brother. You know, so is he going to be willing to put his shoulder down and you know, run violently, as Coach Hooks has alluded to many times? We've talked about this. Right. You know, that he's a violent runner. Is he going to be able to do that with that shoulder banged up like it is?
Exactly.
So, you know, we hope he is. We hope he's 100% ready to go.
And folks, Coach Sears is a great coach. There's no doubt in my mind he'll have them ready to play. Yep. He'll give them the tools to beat Prescott. I just they're going to have the manpower to beat them. That's going to be the thing. So in my opinion, I'm with Bobby on this one. I think Prescott wins this one this Friday night. The other game that's in the quarterfinals on that side, Bobby, the McGee Owls travel to Harding Academy. And I think that's going to be an epic.
Harding.
You like Harding?
Harding. I don't have – look, I picked against McGee last week, and it bit me, okay? But Harding is a different animal. Harding's going to win that football game.
They are a different animal. The only thing now, I'm going to go with Harding. I'm going to go and set up for – I'm going to go with Harding Academy too, just simply because, folks, Harding Academy can score. If you give the quarterback time, they can score when they want to. That's the way I believe. McGee, the only way I can see this game maybe being close or McGee getting it is if it's pouring down rain. That's going to run right into McGee, folks, because they want to line up. They want to run that little wing, double wing, wing T, whatever you want to call it, and they want to pound you, and they're going to pound you because they're built to do it. They've been doing it for years. They do it in their junior high. Mm-hmm. That's their game. They're not going to be nothing fancy. So if it's pouring down rain, you know, it could be a little different. Harding Academy can't throw the football the way they want to, or if it's slippery and they're dropping the football, it could be a lot different outcome. But
Harding's just too big.
They're
big up front. They can run the football as well as they can throw it.
And they've got a running back.
Yes,
he can play. He can play. That's all I can say. I mean, I watched him just torch Newport last week, and folks, he walked away from Theron Davis. I'm gonna tell y'all something right now.
Yeah,
you don't walk away from Theron Davis. You don't do it. That man can flat out fly. And when I watched that running back just kind of walk off and leave him, I thought, no. Either Theron's hurt or he just gave up, because you don't walk off and leave Theron Davis. But I'm with Bobby on this one. We're gonna take Harding Academy on the left side. On our side over here, you've got Osceola and Melbourne. We're gonna call that game. You kind of know how we're gonna go on that one. The other game is gonna be a doozy, folks. I've been flipping coins all day. I'm not gonna lie to you. Camden Harmony Grove. They are the 2 seed out of the 5. They're going to the 1 seed out of the 6. They travel to Rising. And in my opinion, folks, this is going to be the game of the week. That's my opinion. The other 3 games are good games. Don't get me wrong. Our game's going to be a good one. But this is going to be epic. Camden Harmony Grove travels to Rising.
Who you going to pick?
Who am I going to pick?
Who you going to pick?
I'm not going to lie to you. I know Camden Harmony Grove can flat out play.
Yep. You're going to pick Rising.
I'm going with Rising. I really am. And I'm going to tell you why.
Why?
Clay Toddy won. Mm-hmm. And number 2, folks, it's hard to beat Rising at Rising.
It is.
It just is.
It is.
I'm telling you, they have a tradition at Rising. I wished I'd have looked it up, and I started to today to look up their record at home. There's not very many losses at Rising. Now when they were down a little bit, it was different. But once Clay Toddy come on board and they started rolling, You don't beat Rising at Rising. I mean,
until this week.
Until you think it's
Until
going to be this week?
Yeah.
Okay,
This is the week.
Well, Bobby's going to take Camden Harmony
This
Grove.
is the week. Camden Harmony Grove is a solid, well coached, highly disciplined football team, and they're going to go in there and hand Rising a loss.
Ooh, well,
just telling
they
you.
they better play perfect because the fans are going to show up. It's going to be standing room only.
Yep.
And it's going to be a great atmosphere down at Rising this Friday night. I'm going to take Rising. You take Camden Harmony Grove.
Yep.
Either way, if we can take care of business, folks,
We're going to see one of them.
we're going to see one of them, and and then we're going to be talking about that epic battle next week if it all works out the way we want it to work out. So Hoxie Prescott, we both took Prescott. McGee Harding Academy, we took Harding Academy. Also in Melbourne, we're going to call that game. And then Rising and Camden Harmony Grove, we're split on. So we'll see how that works out and next week. So, folks, I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. We are all very thankful. One thing that we can be very thankful for, that we're all healthy. Our families are healthy. We're doing halfway decent. We're doing good. So we want to make sure you know how thankful we are to be able to bring you this coaches show every week. It's been a blessing for us to be able to have this have this coaches show. It's been a blessing to be able to do it with my cousin Bobby. For a long time, we've wanted to do something like this, and to be able to have my family doing it, that's a blessing. Our moms and dads are no longer with us, but they would be happy that what they're seeing right now, and they're seeing it. They're seeing it right now, but they'd be very, very happy to just see us being able to come together as family and do what we're doing right now. We're very thankful for Coach Robert Hooks. I'm on the school board at Osceola, and we interviewed him. I think Mike Cox said, "Well, we'll call you in the morning and let you know kind of where we're at." And Coach Robert Hooks walked out of that door and got in that car. We looked at each other and said, "If you better call him on the way home. He don't need to take another interview. We need to hire this man." And we've been thankful for what he's done, not only for the Seminole program but for our community. You have seen a 360 since Robert Hooks has been here. I'm not saying this; he's my friend. I call him all the time. I text him about crazy stuff, and he always answers it. But we're thankful for Coach Robert Hooks for being at Osceola. It is a blessing. Again, not only for the young men that he has impacted, but the community as a whole that he has impacted. It's unbelievable.
And I consider him family. I mean, you talk about all these great people that come from home. You talk about Bear Bryant. Bear Bryant's from Fordyce. It's an Arkansas boy. Jimmy Johnson played. It's an Arkansas boy. Robert Hooks is a Luxor Panther. I don't care what you say. He's from Luxor. He grew up in Luxor. He's right there in Riverdale, right down the road from where I live. So he's family to me. His dad and I are great friends and have been for years. And I told Michael when Michael told me, hey, we're gonna change coaches, and I think the first thing I said to him was, have you called RJ yet? Right. And so we knew that we could get a good one in RJ, and he's done well by these Seminoles, and I'm proud to know him.
That's exactly right. And folks, that's what it's all about. But this week it's all about family. We all consider each other family, and we will, no matter what happens in life, whether we move on or he moves on, or if he stays here 50 years and becomes the legend that he's already becoming here at Osceola, we'll be thankful that we've got Robert Hooks as an Osceola Seminole coach. So, Coach, I want you to know, I want to wish you a happy Thanksgiving. You're taking your time out every week to be with us. You take your time out right after a hard-fought win or loss, and you come talk to us on the post game, and we appreciate that. We just want you to know how thankful we are for you to be here.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I just don't want you to forget me when you get up there. I want you to remember me.
You'll
need security. You'll need somebody to walk. I mean, you'll need me.
While we got this on recording, we a package deal, folks.
We are.
So if you're watching this and thinking, man, we've got to hire Robert Hooks as our coach somewhere, understand he's got baggage that's got to go with it. So
you just called us baggage.
We're baggage.
That's negative, Michael. That's not a good thing. Baggage is not a good thing.
Well, we're going to call it baggage in a good way because we're going to make him look good no matter where he goes. He makes himself look good. We just kind of enhance it. That's the way it happens. Hey, one more thing just real quick. Jay Gonzalez he's sitting over here behind. Y'all don't get to see Jade very often, but he's sitting behind the scenes over here and pushing all the buttons, folks. Hey, we don't know nothing about this stuff, but he makes it work. And
You don't know anything about it.
well,
I
you don't either. When we sit there talking
When
on
Jade was gone, I mean, come on, who did it? Come on.
you did it, but
That's
we was
right.
talking and the words were behind the video and all kind of
I
stuff.
just pushed the button for Chinese movies.
It
That's
was
all.
awful. It was
That's all-
awful.
that's all
No,
it
no. Bobby does know a lot about it. I just get aggravated. But Jade, we appreciate you so much, buddy. Every week, man, it's what it's all about, man. We appreciate it. We're living a dream. And then Gage does our camera. We've had to put him in the booth coach with us the last couple of weeks because it's been cold outside.
And that's hard.
So
Man,
we're
that's
four of
hard.
us up there in that booth, trying to make this thing work because it's cold outside, Not like he used to live that dream with you out
Come
there
on,
in that cold.
Gage. You got to toughen up. Man.
Oh,
So, folks, hey, happy Thanksgiving from the Seminole Nation and the Robert Hooks Show. Folks, one more time, don't make me call you. Please get out there and get in them stands this Friday night. It's showtime. We play Melbourne this Friday night, and we need a standing room only for that. So, for head football coach Robert Hooks, for my cousin Bobby Eflin, Jade, and Gage, we want to say good night and happy Thanksgiving to everyone.